You are not who you think you are. And who you think you are right now, the charming gentleman, the wealthy man, the humble guy that everyone knows, is a product of worldly systems and lies designed to make you useful to the world. Behind the charming gentleman is the insecure boy. Behind the life of luxury and fame is the lonely and emotional man. And behind the humble and honest man that everyone knows is the manipulator and deceiver that those people close to him know very, very well. We all have masks, ladies and gentlemen, but some people wear masks to hide their true selves. They're embarrassed, they don't want people to see them, or others are tricked into believing that this is their true selves. And if we don't confront these suppressed selves, we risk living a life of disconnect where success feels very empty. You become numb to the pleasures of life. You lack meaning, you lack purpose, you lack drive, you lack wholeness. Just an empty shell, and you consistently start living a life of performance and not authenticity. The key towards removing all this and ending this identity crisis is self discovery, which is going to be the topic of today's episode. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Strive, a man's podcast, where we have one simple mission: to make the next generation of men the world desperately needs. I'm your host, Long Garcia, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to discover your true self. How to discover your true self. And before we get into it, if unlocking your true potential, if focusing on self-development, personal development, and personal growth is something that you want to focus on this year, I think subscribing to this channel will be one of the best decisions that you make in this incoming year, this day, or even this hour. I highly believe that is one great decision you will make today. It will only take you 2 seconds to subscribe and join this ever-growing community. We have so many things planned. I'm sorry for not being that consistent, and we'll be uploading more videos, and I highly encourage you to see the ones that I have been posting, especially the last one. It's going to be very critical towards understanding the series that is going to be coming up. They're all building towards something at the end, and continuously I'll be mentioning things so we can be able to connect them all. Thank you for that. Take it 2 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Let's start the video. Cheers. In a world where we are consistently told who to be by influential figures, and by influential figures I mean those who find to be authoritative figures in our lives, such as our parents, your pastor, online figures that you choose to follow, a critical part of life called self-discovery is slowly being overlooked. Okay, I am what you might call an online figure because I do produce content on YouTube and on Spotify and on TikTok and other platforms, but there's something that most of them don't tell you. Question everything. Question everything you see, no matter how believable, no matter how clear and authoritative they might seem. Question everything. And I'm going to share something very dark with you. But before that, let's just understand, what do we mean by knowing yourself? What does it mean to know yourself? I want to give you an example of a country. For example, think of a country. All the decisions and actions are dictated by the governing system of that state. Now, your values, the things that you value most in your life, are the governing system. And sometimes your actions are done subconsciously, and that's because your subconscious mind, which is where all your beliefs, all your values, and everything about yourself, 95% of who you are, is stored in the subconscious mind. And sometimes you find yourself doing things that you don't really understand why you did it. But the governing system of a state is the same as your values. You are the state, and your values are the governing system. They dictate your actions, and also they dictate the decisions that you make. And your value system, in simpler terms, is what you find to be most important. So what do you find to be most important? You can go down in the comments and just write one thing that you find to be most important. For me, I cannot, I don't want to tell you that. I'll just post it in the comments below so we can just save time and not talk about so many things. I'll just write it in the comments. So it could be arts, it could be friendship, it could be financial freedom, it could be religion, it could be love, it could be almost anything, but each different things, and it could be all of them. It could be all of them that I just mentioned. It could be art, could be religion, could be love, could be financial freedom, could be all of those things. But each one of them holds a different seat in the governing system, or in the governing the governing system. Each holds different seats. One can be more important, love can be more important, your partner can be more important, and your financial freedom can be second, and then art can be third, or art can be number one. So it really depends with who you are as an individual. Now, if Long Garcia wants to overthrow a certain country, I don't want to say any country because I can be censored or something like that, so I don't want to say anything. So if Long Garcia was to overthrow a certain country, this is what I will do. First of all, I will focus my efforts in penetrating the governing system. I would first deploy espionage. Espionage, for those who watch spy movies, is just you start spying on a country and also revealing some secrets about them. So I will deploy espionage as my first tactic, and continuously gather intel and understanding their system and also their weaknesses. And after years of gathering intel and planning, we kick off to the next phase, which is subversion. Now, subversion is deploying tactics such as propaganda to start war, conflicts as well. So these are some of the tactics that people use in overthrowing countries. So I would deploy different tactics of subversion, for example, to overwhelm the governing system. For example, I would deploy propaganda, and also I would start up conflict and war within the country, and also infiltrate important elements of that governing system. And by the end of 20 years of subversion and also espionage, I will become not only master, but judge and executioner. They will be under my control. When I lift my finger, they can do literally anything. It will be more than dictatorship. And the worst thing, they will never see it coming. That's what's exactly happening to you. So, we said we're going to share something scary and something dark, so here it is. From the moment you were born, you were forcefully being shaped and morphed into an idealistic type of person through punishment and reward, which are the main reinforcement systems. For example, if you do something good, you you continuously push towards doing something good by being rewarded. If you get an A, you get rewarded with a bicycle, with a PlayStation or something like that. And if you do something bad, you get punished. So if you steal someone's clothes in the hanging line in high schools, my fellows in high school, those were terrible days. I remember the first time I was in high school. Not my first week, I was told to lie down in the parade ground, and I was seeing, I think it was a couple of Form 4 guys were being beaten senselessly by a physics teacher, biology teacher, and also geography teacher. They were being beaten senselessly, and I was like, oh my freaking days. And for a whole semester, I was seriously traumatized, and I really felt that impact of not doing such things. So every time I would go to the hang line, even if I didn't find my clothes, I wouldn't dare do that. So those are the main reinforcement strategies. Sorry, you get punished when you do something bad, and you get rewarded when you do something good. And this is quite evident, as I've said, or as I've given an example with school, in different cultures, and also in school, in religion, and also in algorithms. The algorithms that we have right now, the ones that he's using to give you this particular video right now, all with the goal of making you useful. Now, how do you become useful without you knowing? And by useful, you can become even a product. So let me give you an example. You as a human are a product. So let me give you an example. If algorithms, if YouTube, if TikTok, not TokTik, TikTok, yeah, gives you good content, you'll be rewarded by a dopamine hit. A dopamine hit is the feel good feeling. Now, after being rewarded with that, because you want more hits of dopamine and dopamine and dopamine hits, you'll come back for more. Hence, these algorithms or these platforms have your attention. And after they have your attention gives them advertisers, and those advertisers gives them money. And then you become useful. You are the product that social media sells. Also, before I do that, let me just drink some water. Mm, it's noon. Oh man. Damn. I've recorded quite late. So so the next example, the education system. The education system was built with one goal: to create workers, useful, obedient workers, replaceable, obedient workers like robots. But that's another topic for another day. But that's the main goal of all the education systems, since it was created back then in those years. Was it the education started a very long time ago, and that was just the goal, not the modern type of education, not the folklores, the parables that those old people used to tell us to teach us stories and lessons. No, just the modern type of business, the modern type of education. There are baby class, nursery, pre-units for those people who are familiar with that. The PP1, the grade one, grade two, and something like that. All with the goal of making you a useful worker, and with the icing on the top. Since primary school to university, we've all constantly been scared by this particular narrative: security. They'll say something like this: if you don't pass high school, you won't get into a good university and you're bound to fail in life. If you get a D plus, if you get a C plus, you will fail in life. You're a failure. There's nothing you can do. Also, they'll say something like, if you don't study in prestigious colleges, which require a lot of money, by the way, you won't get a good job. Hence, you will struggle the rest of your life. So this narrative of security, 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 security. If you don't do this, you'll not. Yes, your future isn't secure. If you don't this, you'll fail in life. This narrative that you continue pushing subtly, especially in high school. I hated it when they do that. Even in university, they do it subtly, but university has a lot of freedom. But since we started the education phase, that's the narrative that has continuously been pushed. I'm sorry, I need to really drink water. I am dehydrated. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So as I was saying, these are some of the things that tend to hear in our education phase, and it tends to limit our options subconsciously and limits our options to those which have been handed to us, which is just study, get a degree, and just do that. Which I'm not saying is bad. There are people who have PhDs, like for example, Dr. Linda. That is a very, I don't know if you know Dr. Linda. I was shown by my girlfriend just around last month, this month, and I'm like, wow, this person is has really studied and has built himself. But there's another aspect of her. She has self-discovered. She has found out that on YouTube you can do this and you can do this. But she's very influential. I'm giving that example just to show you that I'm not against the education system, but in a way they tend to hand us this limited options, and we don't tend to have this mentality that we can explore or something like that. And the only chance people get to have exploration is after university. And by that point, you have so much pressure to create a career for yourself, to find a job, to find attachment, and all that stuff. I think there are people who are here, they can really relate to what I'm saying. So social media, in its ever growing and ever expanding reach and improvements and advancements, we are continuously being presented these online figures. For example, I don't want to give any examples. I don't want to give any examples. It might be bad. It might be sensitive. I might reach 10 years and be like, oh, long, you did this, you did that. No, I don't want to do any examples. But we are continuously being fed this um, online figures full of authority, speaking with authority, speaking with so much pizzazz and energy, telling us who we should be. And because we have no direction and we don't have any anchoring in our life, we tend to follow what they're saying as dogma. And and then you find people with very linear personalities. The only thing that they know is just money, status, and also their physique. Only those. You have people with so shallow personalities that there is nothing else that defines them other than, I want to hustle, look for money, build a good body, build a good life, and not build a good life, but just by building a good life is just have a lot of money, have women, build a house, just that. You can't even really even make deep conversations with them because the only thing that defines them is just that: looks, status, and body. And these three major traits that I've just mentioned, looks, status, and body, are very, very monetizable. That's why the system keeps pushing them and pushing them. They keep pushing this narrative online. I'm not saying it's bad, but It's quite detrimental if someone that isn't educated or anchored within. You can be easily swayed and you can find yourself falling into a deep pit. You don't really know who you are. You're not very much anchored. And I have a great example of a parable or a story that was given by the great Plato of the classical period. He's a great philosopher. I think you can go on Google and just find some of his works for those who are interested. And I think those people who are seeing this video might be interested. So Plato, don't know how it's pronounced, had this parable about men chained in a cave. So this is how it goes. In this allegory or this parable, prisoners are chained inside a cave, watching shadows projected on a wall by passing objects in front of a fire that was behind them. These shadows are all they see, and they truly believed to the deepest part of their heart that this is reality. This is the true reality, and there is nothing else. And all they could see is just that. And they have never seen anything else because they're chained in a cave. That's the only place that they stay. These shadows are all they watch all day, convinced that they are actual objects, not realizing that outside there is so much they haven't seen. There's so much to life other than the options that they've been given. The option that they have right now is to stay in this cave and watch those shadows being projected by the fire. All they could see is just that. Those were their options, but they couldn't really get themselves out of those chains. And now, imagine, those are the options that they only see. That's the life that they have. But there's a whole world out there full of imagination, full of things that you've never seen and you've never discovered. That's the life most people today are living. We are trapped watching projections on TikTok, on YouTube, in churches, in the environments and different environments that we grew up in, thinking that if we mimic what we see, we'll be successful, we'll find meaning. But you have to remember, meaning doesn't come from mimicking. So, how do you know you are in an identity crisis? You're going through an identity crisis. There are three stages that I came up with and discovered as I was researching this video. It can really help you to understand where exactly you are. And most men and most people and most guys or even ladies who are watching this are stuck somewhere in the spectrum. So I'll share this with a story. Once there was a restless soul wandering through the endless plains, forever chasing shimmering mirages on the horizon. This wanderer kept shifting paths. First he was a creator, then a trader, and then he was a speaker. Each new role giving this sense of fleeting purpose and thrill and drive that they keep chasing. But no matter how many titles they acquired, they felt some void, like a moth drawn to every flickering light. They couldn't settle, always looking for the next thing to chase. This, my friend, is a story or the tale of shiny object syndrome. The seeker isn't flaky, they're just unanchored, searching because they don't dare to face the quiet truth that I'm lost and I really don't know what to do. I'm in a dark place and I really don't know what to do. So they continue chasing every single thing that they see just to give them this sense of meaning and purpose. And they lose themselves in that particular position. So if you find yourself jumping from one thing to another, always chasing the next thing, perhaps the story reflects your own journey or where you are exactly right now. That deep inside, you are still searching for your true North Star, your guiding star amidst the dazzling illusions. Think of it as the story of baby Jesus when he was born and the three wise men. For those who are not Christians, I think you've heard this story of baby Jesus was born and the three wise men were looking for him. Oh no, they were not looking for him. Those are shepherds, actually, not the three wise men. And also it was the three wise men, not the shepherds. They were going to see baby Jesus and they were being led by this light, this star that was over the place that Jesus was born. and it was really shimmering. There were so many stars, but there was this one that was really guiding them. So this true star, this true North Star of yours is what you're looking for. And if you don't admit it, then you will go to the next phase, which is the mask of success. Once there was a hero who lined their walls with trophies and life with monuments. They built a fortress of appearance, muscle, business, followers. Yet beneath the grand armor, a strange numbness took hold. It was as if they were living someone else's life. It's like they were performing on stage. And when the applause they were being given, they couldn't reach the deeper layers of their hearts. It felt numb, it felt meaningless. This is the story of the one who hustles to fill the emptiness they are too afraid to confront. The great Carl Jung once said, the most terrifying thing in this world is to accept who you really are. And so the hero keeps running. They keep hiding behind achievements, behind who they are, behind what they've achieved. And inside, there's a voice that keeps telling them there's more to you than this facade. If you recognize that feeling, the feeling of disconnect behind every success that you have, everything that you achieve, you don't feel like you're connected to it, you don't feel like there's any meaning towards it. Just know there are so many people who have been in this crossroad of emptiness, feeling that they are not. Even if I've achieved a million, if I've achieved this big thing, there is no fulfillment with it. And they really can't stop performing because if they stop performing, they lose themselves. They think that they lose themselves. They think that they'll lose everything that they've just built. But I want to tell you right now, I want to seriously tell you right now that the best thing that you can do is facing your fear. That, my friends, now that is strength. And then came the moment when everything fell apart. The job was lost, the love dissipated, the passion was extinguished. It felt as if the world was collapsing inwards, leaving only an honest, unfiltered version of themselves standing in the wreckage, standing in the shipwreck. At first, it was terrifying, like staring into a deep abyss where nothing was familiar and everything was raw. Yet this descent isn't the end, it's the beginning. And out of the chaos, there's a voice that tells them, here's your real face. And suddenly, all the roles and masks fell away, and you were left with just you, unmasked and unfazed, just you vulnerable and authentic you. You feel naked, but that's who you really are. You've faced your pain, you've come everything that you've ever known has come to reality. Everything has fallen apart. All your beliefs, all the things that you've been telling yourself has fallen apart. And it's just you and you alone. Naked and vulnerable. But that opportunity can be bad, but it's also very freeing. It's a very big opportunity. An invitation to rebuild on an authentic ground and forge a new identity on a very strong foundation. That is the best position that you can find yourself in. I'm not saying the other two are not great positions to remove yourselves from, but that is one of the best positions that you can be in because there is nothing you can lose. And there's this quote from Fight Club that I want you to listen into.
It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything.
So if any of these stories hit home, if you see yourself in the seeker, in the achiever, or the masks of success, this tells you one thing. You are not broken. You have just found yourself in a very great position to be able to rebuild something that was seriously important. Yourself. I truly believe that we were placed in this world not to find something, but to create something. But when you're a creator, it means that there's something within you that can produce. For example, when you plant a seed in the ground, it produces or it creates a tree or creates a plant or some kind. So if we have seeds within us, the thing is, number one, knowing that you have a seed, and number two, having the ability to nurture that seed so it can grow. So in this world, you were meant to discover and then create. But most people start creating and then they don't self-discover, and then you find yourself being feeling meaningless because you're doing something that's not really connected to your true purpose, to your true North Star. So how can we do exactly that? How can we self-discover? How do we start self-discovery? I'll keep it very, very simple. You will need a pen, a journal, and a map. And I assume the first two you already have. You can't really miss having a pen or a book because in this channel we really push for journaling. So I think those two things are the main tools that you use. But number three is a map or a practical guide or a process that you can follow to start self discovery. But I want you to ingrain this one truth in your mind very, very strongly. Self discovery is a continuous process. Self discovery is something you continuously do till the point or till the day you die, because there's so many things that you don't know you like. For example, I didn't know I like acting till I went and did something good and put myself out there, and lo and behold, hey, I love acting. And I had a conversation with myself and I like, oh wow, I can do this. I never really knew I would start a podcast or anything. I just knew I was good at talking publicly. I was doing a lot of public speaking in high school, and I never knew I would start a podcast. But here I am. Maybe I won't be doing this the next 5 years. Maybe I will. I really want to. But maybe there's something else I'll discover about myself. So all these things are being revealed to you, especially in those alone times, in those particular places I will mention in this particular guide. Those are the clear places you'll be able to find and self-discover things about yourself that you really didn't know. So let me share with you practical guide. Number one, you need some alone time. Yes, and I mean quiet time, away from phones, away from people, away from screens. It can be 1 hour, it can be 30 minutes, but you need a lot of alone time because clarity doesn't come from a busy mind and a distracted mind, and you being always distracted. You need some quiet time. For example, you can't really see your reflection in a stormy lake. You need stillness in order to be able to truly look and find your gaze and find your reflection. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. Every day he took time to reflect. When he was at war, in his tent, he took time to reflect. In the quiet place, he took time to reflect. And this quiet time helped him to build a great understanding of what truly, truly matters. And he discovered that although being the one of the greatest emperors to ever live in this world, that power and wealth meant nothing without virtue. His solitude shaped him to the man we know him to be, and he accumulated titles and accomplishment throughout his lifetime. He was able to handle plagues when, well, in his time of rule, he was able to handle wars that were so devastating in today's standards. It's something that he was able to endure because he was able to have time by himself to reflect and just know who he is and what truly, truly matters so he can be able to make decisions in the right way. So, if you want to find yourself, start by carving out some moments of quiet time. Listen to the inside voice, away from noise, away from distractions, just you and you alone. Step number two is critical questioning. Now, the next thing is having a very serious dialogue with your mind. So it's every step relates to the other. The first step needs the second step, and the second step needs the first step, because in the first step you need a quiet time, and in step number two you need some quiet time, be able to journal. You can't really journal in a very noisy place. So critical questioning is something but it's something I find to be very helpful. Asking yourself very serious questions about yourself and the people you have in your life, having very serious questions so you can be able to have an internal dialogue with yourself, so you can be able to find what you truly value. So, some of the questions that you can ask yourself are like this: why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I watching this podcast? Why am I in school? Why am I talking to this particular person? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? It's a great way to be able to strengthen the relationships that you have, be able to question whether you're doing something meaningful or is it something that you think you want. Because sometimes we think we want things, but in actuality, we really don't want them. So the next question can be, who am I when no one is watching? And when no one is watching, it's as simple as, do you brush your teeth? That's something my girlfriend always tells me. Who are you when nobody's watching? Yes, people who na kuheshimu, they really respect you, they really see you with something like a suit or macho with a great body or something like that. But who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when no one is watching? Do you brush your teeth? Are you disciplined? Are you groomed? Does your room look good? Do you bathe? Who are you when no one is watching? And number three, what do you truly value beyond what others expect or tell you? So, what do you, let me just repeat that again. What do I truly value beyond what others expect or tell me? That's a very good question. And the way you've said and the way you've explained in the first part of this video, what's truly the definition of value or your internal value system is just what's important to you. What do you find to be important? And step number three will be able to help you understand in a much greater way. So write till it hurts. Write till you're super confused about the belief systems that you have. Because most of the time, there are so many contradicting beliefs in your subconscious that really dictate a lot of things of what you do, and they might not be something that you accept. It might be a belief that you find to be not so good. So have an entire internal dialogue with yourself. Don't show yourself any mercy and enter with a very objective mind. If you love bowling, if you love football, come with the mindset of I might or I might not love football and journal from there and truly ask yourself these critical questions. So, step number three, track your values. Here's a very simple and powerful truth: your actions reveal your values. What you do shows us who you are. What you do shows us what you value. What you do shows us what you find important. If in the morning you pray, yes, you might not be feeling it at that moment, but we see you value your God. If you take care of your person or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, it means you value them quite well. If you do this, it shows us you love doing this. So, if most of your time and energy goes towards chasing money, that's what you value most. If it's freedom, your actions will follow your actions will be able to show us that you really value your freedom. So start being honest with yourself. Take time to focus your attention and time on and your resources on those questions and really ask yourself, wow, is this, and be self-aware. It requires a lot of self-awareness to be able to know who the gods of your life are. By gods, I mean those who rule over you, and both those who rule over you are your values. So take time and be very self-aware of your action. It's going to be very helpful to be able to understand who you are, what you prioritize, and what really is your guiding system towards everything. And the last thing is a media detox. You can't find yourself in noise. You can't find yourself when you're constantly being told, long you're supposed to be an actor, long you're supposed to be, maybe I don't want to be an actor. Maybe right now I feel like I want to be an actor, but it might not be something that I really want to do. You might be wanting that PhD, you might be wanting that particular job, but if every time you're being told by an influential figure online that, oh, you're supposed to do this, oh, you're supposed to be marketing, oh, you're supposed to be reading this book, oh, you have to follow this 30 steps, you can't continuously do that. Or you can't find yourself when you're continuously being fed a certain narrative or a certain opinion of what someone thinks your life should look like. No, it shouldn't be like that. And there's this great thing from Bruce Lee, or this quote I heard from Bruce Lee that he once said, take what is useful, leave the rest. For example, when you enter in class, I encourage you, if you enter in class and you pay attention, Don't write anything and just pay attention for the next 2 hours. And then by the end, write anything that you remember. That is the most useful thing, honestly, because you might read a lot of things, and in the end run, you only get to use one or two things. So pick what is useful and remove the rest. So reduce your time on screen, reduce your time with the people you follow, and have that detox. And those are the 4 steps or the 4 processes or the 4 steps that make up the process of self discovery. If any of them sounds familiar, it's something that you've really come across a lot of the times, but I've tried to arrange them in a very great way. So it's all up to you. It only takes a few minutes every single day, just 30 minutes every single day, and having some great self awareness. The thing you might be doing right now might not be something you love. It might be something that you truly, truly hate, but you've done it so many times that you become numb to that truth. So it's time to face your truth. It's time to sit down and really analyze that. Is this something that I want to do? Thank you very much for watching. I was your host, Long Garcia. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. We're going to be having so much coming up. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers and God bless.